All right. Well, yeah, thanks for having me on. And today we're going to talk about the foundation of a good PPC campaign. No, this is good for sellers who are just starting out, or if you have campaigns already built up and you want to go back and refine your campaigns and get ready to scale those campaigns. So we're going to keep this very simple tonight, but don't take that for granted because these simple principles can really help you build up for success and for scale in the future. So the first thing that I want to go over is the most basic thing, which is having a really solid campaign naming scheme. So the reason why this is so important is because first and foremost, it helps to keep things organized. If you don't know which campaigns you're looking for when you're optimizing, or maybe you make a campaign, but you forget that you've made it because you haven't properly named that campaign, things are going to get very messy. And I can guarantee you that if you're not organized, you're going to be losing money. So if you start organizing yourself from the very beginning, it really helps. Even if you have campaigns that are already made, go back and reorganize those campaigns with a really good campaign naming scheme. So this is going to make it really easy to find campaigns later on. And later on in this presentation, you're going to understand more why this is important because we're going to make a lot of campaigns. Eventually, once you want to scale, we're going to make a lot of campaigns. And if you don't keep those campaigns organized, it's going to be very hard to know what those campaigns are all about. All right. So you may have lots and lots of SKUs, or you may have a couple of SKUs with a lot of campaigns. The point is we want to keep those campaigns organized. Also, it's going to help us to identify key metrics like within the actual campaign name. So let's say we're doing a launch campaign and we have a high target ACOS because it's a launch campaign. I can put that target ACOS inside of the campaign name so I can then see if my target ACOS is matching up with my actual ACOS. So it helps to keep me focused just at a glance to see if I'm matching the target of that campaign. Now, you can use anything as a target to keep you organized. A lot of sellers will use ACOS, and I'll show you an example here. So here's an example of a very common campaign naming scheme that's very simple to use. For example, it is the product identifier. Now, this could be the actual SKU that you're selling. You could use the ASIN here, or you can use the SKU. Let's say you're selling a grill brush. You can put grill brush over here because that's what you're selling. Essentially, this is anything that helps you know what is inside of this campaign, just to give you some clarity. Then we have the actual name of the campaign. So the campaign type. Let's say we're doing an automatic campaign or a research campaign. We want to make sure we know what type of campaign it is right from the bat. So I have a good idea as to why this campaign exists and how to treat this campaign. Then we have the ACOS target. Like I said before, this could be 20%, 30%, 60%, depending on what the goal is for this campaign type. And then I have another identifier here. We use this for PPC Entourage in our management agency, PPCE, just to give us clarity that we're managing this campaign. But you could use another identifier over here as well to help you better organize yourself when you're managing your campaigns. So take a look at this. This is the strong foundation sponsored product ad blueprint that we use for the campaign naming structure. And these are 3 different types of campaigns that are inside of the playbook series. The first one is a keyword discovery campaign. And you can see the identifier that we're using is the grill brush. This is what we're selling. This is the name of the campaign. So keyword discovery campaign. I know that it's a grill brush is in this campaign. I know that this is the purpose of the campaign for keyword discovery. Then I know my target, and then I have another space for an identifier. And these nice little pipelines help me to organize the headline in a way that I can easily digest it and easily see it when I'm scanning. Okay, so here's another example, keyword expansion campaign. Once again, the product identifier is grill brush. In this example, we're going after the individual keyword grill brush set in an isolated campaign, and we're targeting just that keyword. So this is what we call a keyword breakout campaign. grill brush set dash breakout, BO. So that's an easy way for me to know, hey, I'm selling the grill brush. This is the keyword inside of the campaign. I'm breaking out that keyword and I'm just targeting this. This is my target ACOS. And then I can quickly and easily see if I've matched my target ACOS. And here's just one more example. Now, the reason I bring this up is inside of the playbook series, we have for free, this is available right now. You can download this and see the 28 different types of campaigns that we set up for our clients, and you can easily set them up yourself. Now, I don't suggest setting them all up. You know, it's different for every SKU. It's different for every account. You may want to use some of them. You may want to use all of them. But the point is, we show you how to leverage all the different ad types. The most important part, though, is to start off with a strong foundation and to have your campaign naming scheme set up. All right. So it's a little bit different for sponsored brand ads, because for sponsored brand ads, there's going to be more things that you need to identify because there's more things to target in a sponsored brand ad. Sponsored brand ads, you have different products that could be in the headline ad. You have different landing pages. You have different keywords you can target. There's all sorts of variables. The point is, you can use the headline to identify what those variables are. So for example, I have the product identifier and group. I have my brand name. I have the ACOS target. I have the different campaign name. I could also put a landing page over here or a storefront page and identify where I'm sending traffic. So this way, at a glance, I know exactly what this sponsored brand ad is all about because I have a really good, strong foundation and a really good headline. So campaign naming scheme. All right, so let's go into the next thing that's really important for portfolios. For a strong foundation, that is portfolios. Now, portfolios are a great way to keep things neat and organized. They help you quickly and easily see how one SKU is performing as a whole. So let's say I'm selling 5 different SKUs, and each one of those SKUs have 5 different campaigns. That's a total of 25 campaigns. So rather than just going to Amazon and seeing everything all together, I can group those campaigns by portfolio. And the way that we like to do it is that we like to give each SKU its own portfolio so that one SKU might have multiple campaigns, and then I can go and see how that SKU is doing on a portfolio level. And inside of Seller Central, you'll see the portfolios over here. You can set them up. It's really easy to set them up, and you can add your campaigns to the portfolio and then see how your performance is on a portfolio level. It also makes it easier to optimize because at a glance, you can see how that portfolio is doing, and you can see if you need to make some sweeping changes. And let me give you an example. You may see that once you put your SKU into a portfolio, that it's underperforming compared to another SKU or another portfolio. And that may make you want to put more money or drive more traffic to that SKU inside of that portfolio. On the other hand, you may set up a portfolio with a SKU and see that you're not driving enough traffic, or you're driving too much traffic to that SKU because it's underperforming. So the portfolio allows you to break down all of your different metrics quickly and easily to then make better decisions and drive more traffic or less traffic. And we'll get more into this in the future once we dive into the margins tool. But the margins tool will show you the breakdown of the true ACOS. And the portfolios will also help you to organize that information so that you can know the true ACOS for that portfolio. All right, that's a little bit more advanced, but the point is it helps you to organize things. Also, you can set budgets for the SKU inside of the portfolio. So let's say you add all of your SKUs into a portfolio. You can set a budget for that portfolio. So this way you don't overspend past that portfolio's budget. So this is another way to get very granular with your budget. And I don't use budgets on a portfolio. You can use it that way. It's just one option to make sure you don't overspend. And let me be very clear about this. What you can do with this is very cool. You could put you could put a SKU and all of its campaigns into a portfolio. And then let's say you want to hit a target ACOS and you're overspending for that SKU. You could then reduce the budget for that portfolio so that you don't spend too much. So this is a way to cap some of the spending on a SKU level. And it's very simple to do. Simply set up a portfolio and set up your budget for that portfolio. All right, next. Now, this is really important. This is called the less is more principle. So we have the use of ad groups. A lot of sellers ask me, should I set up multiple ad groups? How many ad groups should I have? Should I have an ad group for each match type? I'm going to introduce to you the less is more principle. And the reason why is it's much easier to optimize when you use this principle. So ad groups allow you to segment different audiences or different match types or different products in a single campaign. So you could have one campaign with up to 10 different ad groups. However, that would be very confusing and it would be very hard to optimize that campaign. So we follow the less is more principle over here. Less ad groups, less SKUs inside of an ad group, and then less keywords inside of an ad group, but more campaigns. So we're trying to create more campaigns overall, but using less ad groups. And let me show you why in a second. It's going to get much more clear. So the pro of using an ad group can help to organize campaigns based on factors such as match types and SKU variations. So for example, let's say you wanted to have one campaign with a broad ad group, a phrase ad group, and an exact ad group. Same keywords, broad, phrase, and exact. You can do that and you can organize it by ad group. And that's just one way that you can do it. So that's a pro of using an ad group. Now, a con is that too many ad groups or targets in one campaign may make it difficult to give Amazon specific instructions and directions. So for example, if I have multiple ad groups inside of a campaign, it's going to be hard for me to give Amazon specific direction about how to treat each ad group. Very difficult. So that's why we say less ad groups is better, because then we can give Amazon more specific instructions about what we want to do with the information inside of that ad group. And I'll give you the example. Let's say I have 3 different ad groups, broad, phrase, and exact. Well, it's going to be hard to manage that budget and tell Amazon where to spend my money, broad, phrase, and exact, as opposed to having 3 different campaigns, broad campaign, phrase campaign, exact campaign. Now I can monitor that budget a lot better and give Amazon more specific instructions because it's not just distributed across multiple ad groups. So just keep that in mind. There's pros to using lots of ad groups and there's cons to using lots of ad groups. It may be different for your situation, but ultimately, if you want to have more control, you want to make sure that you give Amazon a little bit less information or less ability to make decisions on your behalf, and you tell Amazon where to go with less ad groups. All right, so now the other thing, negative keywords and targets can be used on an ad group level and also a campaign level. So keep that in mind, that when you are making your optimizations, we spoke a little bit about this last week, you could do a negative exact on a campaign level, which is going to then tell Amazon you don't want any visibility for that negative exact across the entire campaign and all of the ad groups of that campaign. Or you could do your negative exacts on an ad group level. Now, I recommend that if you have multiple ad groups for your campaign, make sure that you do your negative exacts on an ad group level, because you want to be very precise in your optimizations. You don't want to be global. You don't want to tell Amazon that this isn't working for the entire campaign. You want to find the ad group where it's not working and say, in this ad group, I want to do a negative exact in this ad group. So keep that in mind. You could do a negative on a campaign level or an ad group level. multiple ad groups, do it on an ad group level. All right, next, this is really important. And this is another reason why we don't do a lot of ad groups. Optimization by placements, meaning you can adjust your bid optimization based on the placement of the campaign, can only be done on a campaign level. So if I only have one ad group and I only have a couple of keywords in that ad group or a couple of targets, I could much more precisely know how to optimize by placement because you can only do that on the campaign level. If I had multiple ad groups, let's say broad, phrase, and exact, those broad match keywords are completely different than the exact match keywords. Then when I go to optimize by placement, I don't know if it's going to be accurate or if it's going to be good for the exact match or the broad match, because Amazon is not giving me that option to do the optimization by placement on an ad group level. I can only do it on a campaign level, which makes it very difficult to know if I'm doing the right optimization in this example. So if you have less ad groups, then this becomes a lot easier because I know that I'm giving Amazon less information and I know what I'm doing in terms of my optimization. Now, Wayne, I sort of spoke a lot about that. Do you understand? Is that clear to you?
Yes, I think the optimization by placements is quite important because that is where we use the 900% up, right?
You can use 900% up if it makes sense. And the point is, it may make sense for one match type. It may not. If you have one ad group with one match type, it's a lot easier to make those precise decisions. So it gives you the clarity that you need to make those decisions.
It makes us to know where, if we bid low and raise the 900%, it helps us to understand where exactly is our keyword shown. But if we put too many ad group in one campaign, it's unclear.
Yeah, and this is another example. Let's say you wanted to do ASIN targeting, but you only wanted to target the product page for that ASIN. If you have ASINs, if you have multiple ad groups with keywords mixed with ASINs and you have 10 different ad groups, it's going to be hard for me to tell Amazon that I only want to target the product page. But if I have just one ad group and I'm targeting just ASINs, I could do a lower bid, but then do a placement modifier. I could do a placement modifier for the product detail page and tell Amazon I only really want to get visibility on the product detail page. So that gives me that clarity in that targeting. Yeah. Also, bidding type is set on a campaign level. Yes, this is another thing that's really important. Now, bidding type has to do with fixed bid, dynamic bid, down only, up and down, all those different bidding types that can only be set on a campaign level as well. So keep that in mind that even if you have multiple ad groups, you still can only do optimization by placement on a campaign level. And the bidding type is set on a campaign level. In the future, it would be great if Amazon allows us to set up different bidding types by ad group and different optimization by placements by ad group. In that situation, things will change. I think that will be good for Amazon once they do that, because then we can create one campaign and give multiple ad groups different instructions. Okay. But the point is, we want to be very precise in our instructions. And by the way, the playbook series helps to bring this out. And I show you step by step how to set this up. So if this is confusing or overwhelming, I show you how to do all of this inside of the playbook series. All right. And last thing I think for today is currently there are no ad groups for sponsored brand ads. So only ad groups for sponsored product ads and sponsored display ads, but there are no ad groups for sponsored brand ads. All right, Wayne, I think that is enough for today because I don't want to overwhelm the audience. And then next time we'll talk more about how many targets we should put in each ad group.